Alright, people, back to our regularly scheduled programming, finally. Okay, so I got these basketball cards because figured might as well change it up a little bit. So for any of you who've been following my channel or watching something, we had an incident. One of the media companies, they don't like exactly what I've said behind closed doors, and they're worried that I might say something that will get people going. So what they did was they throttled my account when it was going up rapidly in terms of viewership, in terms of people finding this stuff interesting. And clearly I don't like that. I don't think anyone does. And wherever you're watching from, I'm in America. Frankly, us out here, we like to just do what we do. There are only 4 cards in these. Interesting, right? It's like, that's so cheap. 4 cards. Oh, but they're all hollow or all foil. A.J. Mitchell, Oklahoma City. We got Chet Holmgren. Okay, that's one of those Topps Chrome logo things. I have no idea what I'm looking at here, people. Here, let me show you this here. What does anyone know what the hell this is? Someone tell me what's going on here. Anyway, back to my corporate story. Interactive Corporation. They're a really big media conglomerate, and they are actually a social suppression system. If you have any kind of different way of looking at things, they kind of start to mess with you. And if you start to break out, go viral, like whatever, and you have some kind of message that is outside of the our democracy bullshit, they'll come after you. Now, that being said, I'm not against democracy. I'm not against anyone's ideas or whatever. You know what? I believe that you should think about whatever the hell you want to think about, say what you want to say, do what you do. You know, that's 90% of what people do is not my fucking business, alright? So, I keep to myself that way. But, these people, they've done some things. So, they broke my business in upstate New York when I was operating construction business. They, basically deplatformed me first on Angie. Then they managed to entice the local legal system to do some things that we're not going to really get into. And then a couple of other things. And then there was a bunch of other stuff. But anyway, point is, the reason for that video that I did, the scheduled TO, that is an official Securities Exchange Commission form filing indicating to a public company that you, representing yourself or an investor group, are interested in acquiring the company. And because they're a public company, they have to respond to it. They have to consider the potential takeover, because that's how the rules are. If you're a private company, you don't have that kind of scrutiny. But if you're a pubco, you've got that problem. So, because they have not acted above board, and because I have a very long history with them, and it goes back to Match Group as well, and all those other companies, they own that. They actually created Match Group, surprisingly, among other stuff. So, the problem with this whole thing is that they're just a corrupt organization, and they've directly attacked me over personal things and over whatever they perceived as my politics. They don't take me seriously at all either, because I'm just a guy who's unboxing Pokemon cards, baseball cards, now basketball. Like, come on. But I used to work on Wall Street as well. So I know the deal. I know how it works. So, if I know all these things, I certainly know how to ruin someone's day. But that's not something that I like to broadcast or think of myself as something that should even be done in the first place. So I'm just rambling right now, but at the end of the day, they now are dealing with my potential hostile takeover of their multi-billion-dollar company. And that might sound ridiculous to people, but it's actually not. And let me tell you why. There are people out there, if you have the legal filings in place and you've done all the groundwork and you've done all the research, getting the information is 95% of the fight. That is hard to do. It's hard to research stuff. Really hard. And, being able to forensically follow the trail, and all that other stuff, it's a whole different game here. So, I guess in closing with that, I guess in closing and all that, I can get the funding to do it. And I can even probably entice them to sell or finance a deal or have their own investor network do that. But, I think a lot of people will agree with me when I say this. And these big media companies, they've just grabbed us by the balls for the longest fucking time. Completely unchecked. Just horrible. So, and another thing a lot of YouTube creators, content people here, like Alpha Investments, for example. He's got, 300,000 subscribers? He should have more than that. He should have a lot more than that, especially because of the information that he's providing. It doesn't make sense why he doesn't have more subscribers than that. It's like he's been siloed a little bit. People don't want what he has to say to go out. Almost every legit YouTube creator has been suppressed by these organizations. That's just to give you a general ground idea. Getting real information out there other than this hype shit that you see on Snapchat or on Instagram, if you have anyone talking like me whatsoever, you're not going to hear much about them. Probably the biggest guy who kind of does talk this way, but he's still really commercialized, Andrew Tate, but I don't really want to say that, man, because he's got the reputation, he's gotten himself into some shit. So, even though he's got great points, Andrew's also got a lot of the, he's got baggage. That's the issue. That's the only freaking problem there. It's kind of like Trump, he's got the baggage too. Trump's definitely got baggage. You kidding me? I'm not going to, I don't mind him as president. I think he's doing the best job that he can. But he's got baggage. And people are afraid to say that. They're diehard supporters of this person, that person, whatever. But, everyone, I would say, has some level of baggage, some worse than the others. And his is pretty bad. It is. It's just bottom line. But the question is he useful and do we need him? And the answer is, hell yes. Yeah, we do, actually. And your mistakes in your life, at the end of it all, there will be a reckoning. You'll have to answer to someone else, something else, big man upstairs, or whatever you want to talk about in terms of whatever your belief is. Maybe you just disappear and that's it. I don't think that that's true. I think that there's probably a little bit more to it than that. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to live with what the fuck you do. And, but, we don't have real leadership in place right now, and that's terrifying. And the reason is because anyone who is a real leader would have put their foot down with this crap a long time ago. They wouldn't be complicit. Well, that covers this. So now you understand why I'm using this YouTube channel. Not only, to do unboxings, to do some like fun stuff, chill out. It's a way to unwind. There's that. But then there's also a really heavy layer within it. That heavy layer is the fact that we're all getting fucked. That's about it. We're getting fucked. So, who likes to get fucked? Let me ask you that. Who likes to get fucked? If everyone started asking questions, why this, why that, who's doing that, why is this company making so much money, why the hell am I not even able to afford like a freaking footlong at Subway? Like, come on. Or why is it that beer is almost $10 for a pint? What's up with that? What happened to inflation? What happened with fiscal responsibility? You basically have a circus going on every week where you got the Fed basically saying, yep, we're going to print more money. And that's pretty much it. That's what they do. They print more money. They're doing quantitative easing, quantitative tightening, and it's all under the Federal Reserve, which isn't even part of the U.S. Reserve System. It's part of what's called the federal system, which is entirely different from our federal government. However, they also work closely with the Treasury. Federal Reserve is a private organization. So, to me that's just, as a country, we were pissed off at like what, 1 or 2% tax on tea back in the day. Now we're getting taxed what, 40%, 45% income? Or if you're a business owner and you're self-employed, government tries to take half of what you've got. Ex-wife tries to take the other half. I've never been married, so that's not that's certainly not one of my issues. But just to be really clear, we're all kind of getting fucked. And a lot of people say that's just life, and that's what happens. But really, is that the case of what we really need, especially in 2025 when we've got all this infrastructure, we've got AI? You don't really need to work that hard anymore to do your job. You just can type it into the AI program and it will spit back out probably a better answer than what you could provide. I'll tell you that much. It's just the truth. And it's it's just the fact that in sports you hear people, the commentators, you hear them say a lot, but one of the common themes is no excuse for performance. That is accountability. That's 100% accountability. And every single major athlete has a very high level of accountability, even if they bend the rules, break the rules sometimes, or whatever else. It happens. It really does, because they need to be able to feel something sometimes. Other times, they've got something else going on. Other times, they just decide to self-destruct. Other times, the pressure just gets to them. And that happens. When you're in a high-performance position, you will eventually, at some point, whether it's public or private, you will choke and you will break down. Something's going to happen. It's not that straightforward or clear-cut. So, when it comes to like these sports cards, when it's not just cardboard here. This cardboard has meaning. It's tied to that integrity, to that accountability, to that performance. And when that performance doesn't materialize, then neither do these. Let me know what you guys think. Hit like, subscribe, and then roast me in the comments if you want. Have a good one.